What is up? This is Yahoo NBA Live. Thanks for joining. Pete McCarthy with Matt LaMarca. We've got Tyler producing. Tyler's just telling us about his track racing expertise in high school. Matt, were you a big track guy?
I ran track 1 year as a misguided attempt to keep myself in shape back when I was somewhat in shape. And I hated every second of
it. What's the hate? It's just running in circles.
Exactly. Exactly.
That's why I always hated running. People would say, "Oh, you should join track." I'm like, what is the point of that? I like sports. Like, why would I just do the part that sucks, which is running? Yeah, I liked playing goalie in soccer because I was like skinny lazy. Like, I didn't want to run. Now I run, I go outside, I do like half marathons. I don't know what happened, but I didn't break myself in high school, I guess, because I didn't have to do it every single day. Hey, we got some NBA to break down. Get involved in the chat. You have any questions? We could certainly break down any players. I think the big news over the last 20 to 30 minutes is that the Golden State Warriors are not going to play anybody tonight. Steph Curry is out. Andrew Wiggins out, Otto Porter out, Klay Thompson out, Andre Iguodala, Draymond Green, Bjelica, Wiseman, they're all out. So there's our skeleton crew for the day to try to pick at the bones at and find some minimum priced guys.
Yeah, I heard Chris Mullins may suit up. They called up Mitch Richmond's
coming back. Yeah,
Tim Hardaway Sr. They're going to bring back the Run TMC crew. Yeah. The Warriors are a clear and obvious target today. The question becomes sort of what pieces do you want to target for the Warriors? How do you want to kind of build your lineups out? Capture some of that value, but also have to worry, about not playing the same lineup as literally everyone else. So it's that's really where the struggle is today.
We'll go position by position, but let's just hit the Warriors right off the top. I mean, give me two guys, let's say, that maybe everybody's going to be in on and where we can get a little cute.
Yeah. So I think Jordan Poole is sort of the guy who's going to have to carry the offense for them. He's projected for the most ownership at the moment at nearly 55%. He's not exactly free. He's $17, but that's cheap enough compared to what we've seen from him at times this season. The usage rate obviously goes way up with Steph Curry and Andrew Wiggins and Klay Thompson off the court. I think he's your best source of scoring for the team. Some of the other guys that I think are going to catch significant ownership here, you've got Gary Payton II. He's priced at the minimum. You've got Kuminga at $10. He's priced at the minimum. I think if you wanted to maybe get a little bit weird, you go with like a Juan Toscano Anderson, something like that. He's not really expected to catch all that much ownership at the moment, but we know that he's a decent player. He hit 21 fantasy points in his last game in just 20 minutes. I do think that this will be a spot where they lean on the younger guys more than some of their veterans. Like this could be a big night for Kuminga, Moses Moody, guys like that. But they're also going to be extremely chalky. So if you wanted to go a little bit different, I guess JTA would be the way I'd do it.
All right, so there's a lot going on with those Golden State Warriors. We'll mix it in as we go position by position throughout the show here. Of course, give us a like, subscribe, help us out as far as that goes, and we'll, of course, do our best to steer you in the right direction for your Yahoo plays tonight. So we'll start out with the point guard position. First of all, James Harden is now probable to play. So that's the biggest news at that position. $51 for James Harden there. We know Steph Curry is off the board at this position. DeJounte Murray, always an interesting option. How are you breaking down the top end of the point guard position tonight?
Yeah, Harden's interesting to me. He's not going to catch a ton of ownership. We have him projected for less than 7% at the moment. It is not an ideal matchup against Phoenix. They're a good defensive team. They've won 9 straight games. Harden is, a little bit pricier than we've normally seen from him. So I understand why he's going to be low owned, but with the amount of value that we have, I'm always interested in trying to get some of the biggest names into my lineups. And, there are some more expensive guys at other positions that will be more popular. But Harden to me makes a lot of sense as a contrarian pivot. I think he's my favorite of the stud point guards on this slate. I don't hate DeJounte at $47. We've talked about DeJounte a lot this year. Just a really good fantasy player. But if James Harden is 51 and DeJounte's 47, I'll pay the extra $4 for Harden every time.
The secret is out on DeJounte Murray. Everybody's caught on. The guy's pretty good. All right. So he's up to $47. You're not getting him at 30 anymore, or whatever the heck he was earlier on the season. More mid-tier options. I guess Bradley Beal is out, obviously, for Washington. Spencer Dinwiddie at $23 is on the boom bust tool. He had a relatively high boom rate for tonight. And you, of course, check out all those tools over at Awesemo. And then Patrick Beverley, another cheaper guy at $18. Where else are you looking at the point guard position?
Yeah, I don't hate either of those options. Dinwiddie has crushed this season in games without Bradley Beal. He's averaging over fantasy points per game. You do have to deal with this weird situation that apparently none of his teammates like him and don't want him to be there, which is weird, but they kind of need him right now. So I would expect Dinwiddie to play 30 plus minutes and give us pretty good value there. Beverly has been, pretty much crushing whenever he has been on the floor this season. He's missed a few games in a row now, expected back tonight. I don't necessarily love him at this price tag. I think that there are other locations this evening where he's a better fit. I think Kobe White for the extra buck makes more sense to me. Given that, the Bulls are so thin in the backcourt and Patrick Beverley has missed 5 straight games.
Going back to Dinwiddie, the best way to get a guy out of town, make him look good. Yeah. Right, up that trade value a little bit. Right? Passing the ball, score when he gives it to you, whatever. Right? Let him get the triple-double tonight and then, send the email to the GM saying, okay, all right, get this guy out of here. We're done.
Love it.
At least the minutes are up, right? I mean, you had to be concerned coming off the knee injury going into the season, and now a lot of that is in the rearview mirror as we hit the midway point of the season. So even with the success he had with Beal off the floor earlier, maybe now even in a better position to rack up some better points. There you go. Point guard position as it sets up tonight on Yahoo. Shooting guard position. I'm guessing Kyrie Irving looked a little more attractive this morning before we found out James Harden is now probable. But Irving, still pretty affordable at $39 here. And then Devin Booker, who's been absolutely red hot over the last few weeks, sitting there at the same price as well. And that's the top of the market at shooting guard. Yeah,
I think if I'm paying up, my favorite guy is Cade Cunningham. He's $30. That's too cheap for the amount of upside that he has displayed recently. I've been saying that I think he's got the widest range of outcomes for any player in basketball right now. You look at his last 3 games, 57, 14.4, and 69.6. So really massive gap there, but the upside is what we care about. We want the ceiling on the nights when he plays well, and he clearly has that. The Pelicans are a pretty good matchup, so I think $30 for him is just too cheap. I like him a lot.
So you go $30 sitting there for Cade Cunningham. Any reason to go down? We talked about Jordan Poole a little bit, not free or minimum price, but $17. We'll see a ton of run tonight. Nickeil Alexander-Walker, I saw at a high boom rate a little bit earlier. Any cost savings elsewhere? You're just fully in love with Cade Cunningham tonight.
For sure, Jordan Poole deserves to be the highest owned player on the slate. I think he is the top option at the position. For me, it's him. It's Cade. If you want to sprinkle in a little Derek White at $25, I think that's okay. Derek White has been playing pretty well since returning to the lineup, averaging over a fantasy point per minute this season. And this Warriors matchup is now pretty attractive, right? Just not a lot of proven commodities there. So I would imagine that they are going to be worse defensively. The one thing I'll say about shooting guard is that this seems like a position where you want to spend some money. I think Poole is the cheapest player that I'm really considering. Nobody at the position, as far as like a pure punt play, really stands out from a points per dollar perspective. You've got Dante DiVincenzo and Duncan Robinson at the minimum, but those guys aren't going to compare to some of the minimum price players we'll see at other positions. So
I didn't see a whole lot of punt plays on the board overall until this Warrior news came down about 20 minutes before the show, and that kind of changed things up a little bit. But generally, this is kind of a tough slate to find a whole lot of those values. That's why those Golden State guys are going to be probably as widely owned as they will be.
Yes, agreed.
I like this in the chat from Greg. Profited in all three lineups last night in the 10K to first on Yahoo. Time to run it back, and excited about that. So good job, Greg. We like hearing that.
Well done, Greg.
Yeah, get it done. If you're a resident of New York, sports betting is now live in your state. Probably heard by now, but in case you didn't, you know now. Welcome sports betting to your state with some fantastic bonus offers we have available at Awesemo. You can click the link pinned at the live YouTube chat to browse all of our offers, including a bet $10, win $200 if any team scores a touchdown, and a free NBA jersey if you bet $100 with Caesars Sportsbook. You can also take advantage of a $1,000 risk-free bet with BetMGM and up to a $1,500 match deposit bonus with Caesars as well. These offers are too good to pass up, so click that pinned link and start betting. And of course, always great to have multiple sports books. If you're very comfortable with one, you get different lines in different places. Of course, utilize Odds Shopper to see all that, the snapshot, and get you the best line, the best bet on a given day. Small forward position, Jimmy Butler is going to be available for the Miami Heat. How does that shake up this slate? He's expensive at $45.
Yeah, but Butler has just been really good this season when he has been on the floor. Unfortunately, that may not be as much as some people like. I know the last show I did with Greg, he was calling Jimmy Butler the Anthony Davis of guards. But before missing that last game, 78.8 Yahoo points at $43. He'll gladly take that. So I think he's in play. This matchup against Toronto is less than ideal. These two teams play pretty slow. They're both, defensively minded teams. The total on this game is just 211 points. So it's not a game that I'm getting a ton of exposure to, but Jimmy Butler, I think $45 is ultimately a pretty fair price tag for him. I do think that the Minnesota situation is a key one, right? We have a lot of injury value available with the Warriors. The Timberwolves were still kind of waiting for a few things. D'Angelo Russell, unlikely to play. Patrick Beverly, likely to play. Josh Okogie, Leandro Balmaro are questionable. As long as Russell is out, I think you can go back to the well with Anthony Edwards at $36. He didn't have a good game his last time out, but he was 2 for 9 from 3-point range. He had 5 turnovers. In the 3 games prior, he had at least 46.2 Yahoo points. I think this is a nice kind of buy low spot for him. So I would give him the edge over Butler given the price difference.
Do you like guys sometimes when they're coming off a bad game? Maybe it scares away some ownership.
Of course. Yeah. As long as there's no reason why, right? Like if he played fewer minutes because just it was a blowout, or if he just had a poor shooting night, more turnovers than usual. Those are all things that you would expect some positive regression on the next night. So definitely I like to buy low on players as long as nothing has fundamentally changed about their outlook.
Mid-tier small forward, Mikal Bridges ranks pretty high in the boom rate. 13% chance of booming off here at $20. Hey, you don't seem too impressed with that one. What are we looking at if we go mid-tier and below here?
Yeah, the thing is, he's expensive. He's up to $20. He's been more like a $15 player for most of the year. Now, granted, he's playing much better than he has for most of the season. He's got 3 games with at least 39 in his last 6. That's a type of ceiling that Bridges really hasn't displayed. They're still a little bit thin with no Jay Crowder. So,
well, he's questionable. Crowder and Ayton are questionable for tonight.
Okay.
So they've been upgraded.
Yes.
Yeah.
Okay. So that would obviously be a negative for his stock if either of those guys can play. I still think it's too expensive that I'm not really considering him anyway. I think for the most part, people are going to be looking at Aaron Gordon if they're sticking in the mid-range. He's the guy that we are projecting for the most ownership at the position. And he's coming off of a big game, and sort of the opposite of what we just talked about. I like to fade players coming off of a big game, especially when that player is Aaron Gordon. I don't think Aaron Gordon chalk has ever worked once. So, he is playing, roughly 30 minutes a night. His usage rate has been way up the last 2 games. I don't know if that continues, but one thing I feel very comfortable with is he's not going to shoot 10 for 17 from the field again. So I am totally cool with fading a chalk Aaron Gordon.
How does that hinge on whether Nikola Jokic plays tonight? He's questionable game time decision.
Yeah, that's certainly the big factor. If Jokic is out, I'll rethink my stance on all of the Nuggets. But Jokic is a tough dude. He really does not like to miss games. I mean, he's missed just a handful of games over the past 3 seasons. So I'm operating as though he's going to be in the lineup tonight.
We're going to rewind. Ryan asked about Fred VanVleet at the point guard position. Any thoughts on VanVleet tonight at $37?
Again, I don't love that Toronto-Miami matchup, but all the Toronto starters are just playing an insane amount of minutes. 40 plus every single night, it seems like. VanVleet's salary also has come down a smidge over the past few days. So I don't hate the play, but it's not somebody that I think should be a priority for you tonight.
All right, to power forward, Giannis leading the charge, $55 there. DeMar DeRozan going up against Orlando. T. Green notes that DeRozan hates Orlando, so we might go off, $39 there. We mentioned no Bradley Beal for Washington, so Kyle Kuzma is sitting there at $32, and he's coming off a 30-plus point game. What are we looking at here? The top of the market at power forward.
I wonder why DeRozan hates Orlando. Maybe he had like a bad experience at Disney World when he was a kid or something. I don't know.
It could be one of those things, goes on for years. Giannis. It's like Ken Griffey Jr. with the Yankees. Just, you get upset as an 8-year-old and it never leaves.
There you go. I think for the most part, Giannis is my favorite power forward tonight. We have more than enough value that fitting Giannis is pretty easy. He's coming off of a poor showing. His minutes have been a little bit down recently. He's played 30.8 minutes or less in 2 of his last 3 games. But in the exception, when he played 34 minutes, he scored us 60 fantasy points. We know how good he is on a per minute basis, 1.68 fantasy points per minute for the year. I think 55 is a reasonable price tag for him in a good matchup against Washington. The Bucks have the highest implied team total on the slate at over 120 points. This to me feels like the perfect Giannis get right spot.
So a good spot for Giannis here, $55. And we look at the real top end overall. Nikola Jokic is a game time decision tonight. He's 57 and he has a real good boom percentage if he plays. Not a ton of ownership expected as now, but we'll see how that develops throughout the day. When we look at James Harden is at the top. Giannis would seem to make a lot of sense. Is that first guy that you're putting in your lineup?
Yeah, I think he benefits right from the best matchup of the trio. He has he's the only one without an injury designation at the moment. I mean, we are all expecting James Harden to play, but technically he is probable and he has missed 2 straight games. So Giannis is the healthiest of the trio. He's got the best matchup. His price has also come down a little bit recently. He's my favorite stud. I plan on having plenty of exposure to all 3 of these guys because I think it's pretty easy to fit 2 in the same lineup tonight with all of the good minimum plays that are available. And there's a reason why these guys are so much more expensive, and it's because they're the best players in fantasy.
Yeah, they put up points. They get it done, as we know Giannis could do in all the categories. Looking elsewhere, if you like Giannis that much at the power forward position, maybe we don't have to dig too deep for some value here, but what jumps out at you as you work your way down the list here? I saw, Cameron Johnson was high enough in the boom percentage to maybe be worth talking about. Wendell Carter Jr., the Magic.
Yeah, Cameron Johnson would be a fair price tag, but again, we need Jay Crowder to be out for him to, play that 36 plus minutes that we've been getting from him recently. I think you go with Giannis or you go all the way down. You take Kuminga at $10, or if you want a little bit less ownership, you can take Jeff Green at $10. Green, maybe not as safe of a play from a minutes perspective, But you're not going to have to eat nearly the same ownership. I'll also throw out, if you want to go mid-range, Wendell Carter Jr., I think is underpriced at only $25. He's been really good this season on a per-minute basis. He's back to playing, 33 minutes a night. That's what he hit in his last game. As long as he continues to see, 32, 33 minutes in that vicinity, I think he's underpriced at $25.
Stick with the Magic. Question from RMH. Thoughts on Franz Wagner at small forward?
I've been trying to buy low on Franz a couple of different times recently. It worked out a couple nights ago. He had a 40 for us against the Clippers, but the minutes are just pretty inconsistent because the Magic have been getting blown out so much. He only played 31 and a half minutes last game, 27 minutes 2 nights ago. This Chicago team hasn't been playing their best basketball recently, but they're still 9-point favorites here. I don't hate the call. I think that certainly Wagner has some upside at this price tag, but I don't know if this is the night to do it. This to me feels like a stars and scrubs type of night. So paying 23 for Wagner just doesn't seem like it's part of the preferred lineup construction for me.
And if you like Carter, they're similar prices as well. So you're not going to play both in the same lineup, right?
Yes, right. And I think Wendell Carter, significantly higher upside and, significantly more median projection for just $2 more.
We've partnered with Yahoo Fantasy this NFL season. As you might have figured out by now. Check out our exclusive limited time offer, which gets you 1 free month of Awesemo Plus Platinum. Now, you need to be new to Yahoo. Sign up for an account via the link below, deposit, and play. Yahoo will send us your name after you paint your first paid contest. We'll reach out via email with your coupon. If you'd like to speed up the process of getting access, email support@awesemo.com, and we'll get you all set up. You can also claim a free $10 of site credit by clicking the link in the video description below, which will be used to enter any Yahoo contest, including tonight's NBA $50,000 Tuesday Baller. Make sure to use our DFS tools and projections designed specifically for Yahoo to give yourself the best shot at winning big. Center, Nikola Jokic, we touched on him a little bit, $57, always playable if he's in there, but we don't know right now. He'll be questionable. And, how does it affect you when a guy's questionable and potentially in that later window game? It's not that late, but 8 o'clock Eastern time, it's on the back end of this slate.
Yeah, I think we have enough flexibility that we can pivot around Jokic if we need to. I certainly want to play him on slates like this where his ownership projection is minimal, at least for the time being. The guy has been the best player in fantasy. In my opinion, he's been the best player in basketball. What he has done with this decimated Nuggets roster is just phenomenal. And if he doesn't win the MVP award at the end of the year, I think it will go down as a tragedy. I do. The guy is he's going to rewrite the record book in terms of like the advanced stats this season. He's on pace for the highest PER of all time. He's that good. And the only thing that has been able to stop him from a fantasy perspective this season has been lack of minutes in blowouts. And even that isn't a foregone conclusion, right? He played 28.2 minutes in his last game, finished with 59.3 fantasy points. So the dude is just so much better at fantasy basketball than every other player in the league. Play him. I don't know what else to say. Play him.
And you think not just fantasy, but one of the best players in the league or the best player in the league, period, right now.
100%.
Like.
Yes.
If you're not going to play Jokic tonight, after all that, we're looking at Pascal Siakam. You got Karl Anthony Towns, Bobby Portis. I know you like Giannis tonight. That's expected to be a high-scoring game, so you're hoping to keep that close. Portis just $22, has the ability to go off once in a while. Mo Bamba, another one of those Magic that's in the mix here. And I guess JaVale McGee is worth bringing up as well, depending on, again, what happens up front with DeAndre Ayton and company for the Suns.
Yeah, there's lots of like cheaper guys. I think Portis is one of the best pure values at $22. Has had 2 straight subpar games, but he's been pretty consistently playing like 32 minutes a night. We know he's a guy that can average over a fantasy point per minute. So I think buying low on him makes a lot of sense. Washington also one of the best matchups for centers this season. I like Bamba. Kevon Looney has been playing a ton of minutes recently for the Warriors with no Draymond Green. He's got at least 14 boards.
He's got to play 40 tonight, right?
Yeah.
Or until he gets that sixth foul, whenever comes quick.
And then Thomas Bryant slowly but surely starting to creep back into this Wizards rotation at center. Kind of a three-headed monster now. But he's hit at least 20 minutes in 2 of his last 3 games. And he's another guy that can average around a fantasy point per minute. So I think he's underpriced at $10. And, again, kind of a little bit of a different way to use a minimum price player today. We have him projected for less than 5% ownership. While some of the Golden State guys are going to be upwards of 50.
All right. So we got some things to watch for tonight. Who's going to be in, who's going to be out. What's the toughest decision as of now when you're putting your lineups together?
Which 2 studs do you want to play with all the value? I think for me, it's going to be Jokic and Giannis. If you wanted to make it, one of those 2 guys replace one of those 2 with James Harden, I think that's totally fair. But again, I think on this slate with so many viable, cheap players, you want to try and get 2 of those big top dudes in.
Get them in. Find a way. You got lots of Warriors to pick from if you need to find that value here tonight. Of course, again, give us a like, subscribe, keep up with all of our shows, our DFS offers, our giveaways, and much, much more. Matt LaMarca killing it with the analysis here on this Yahoo NBA live show. Don't go anywhere. Still a ton coming your way. The NBA Deeper Dive starts up in an hour and a half. NBA Live Before Lock at 6 o'clock Eastern Time. And coming up next, it is the No House Advantage NBA Strategy Show. Eitan and Terry are standing by. I'm Petey Mac. Thanks for getting involved.